Good day everyone, and welcome to chapter 4 over using forms and reports in Microsoft Access 2019 or Office 365. When you're going through this chapter, there are several objectives that you should be able to master as you're going through this, and some of them will seem like, oh, I know how to do that because we've done that before. So that's a good feeling, but we're going to be using more a little bit here in our forms and reports this time. One of the things you're going to be able to do is understand how to easily navigate and edit records in the datasheet view. Another thing is you're going to navigate forms and their subforms, so having a form within a form. You're going to be able to create table records using those forms, and you're going to be able to update those. You're going to be able to create a form using the form wizard, because we've used a lot of the query wizards, so now you'll be using more of the form wizard. The next thing you'll be looking at here in chapter 4 is taking that form that you've created using the wizard and modifying the form's design. And you get near the end of the chapter, you'll be looking at how to create a report using the report wizard. And it's great that there's a wizard for everything here in Access. Then we'll customize report, and then you will see how to save a report that you can share easily as a PDF file. Well, let's take a look at some of this work now, and I hope you enjoy the lesson here on using an actual project. So with this project, the Turquoise Oasis Spa has a database with customer, employee, product, and service information for easier scheduling. An intern created this database, and the manager and staff members are struggling to use it to its fullest capacity. We've recently been hired to work in the office of the spa, and you have knowledge of Microsoft Access, so the manager has asked you for help in maintaining the records and creating forms and reports to help better utilize this database. Here are the steps we're going to complete. I've already got my database uploaded, so it is ready to go. Got it stored where we want it. Now we're going to look at step 2 here. I'll increase this. As you know, Datasheet View in Access shows all the records and fields at one time. This is an advantage to using it to update our records. Another advantage is the ability to see all the records in the table, which gives you a perspective on the data that you're entering. So we're going to open up our customer table, then we're going to navigate to this customer ID and edit their phone number to display this number. Once we've done that, we're going to close the table. So we'll open up our database, go to the customer table and open it up here in our objects pane. We are looking for customer number 12 here, Omar Hinton, and we're going to change their number. So we're just going to go over here and make that simple change. The new number should be 505-555-2923. So we're just going to change these last numbers here. Hit enter. That number in the record has been permanently changed. Now we're going to close the table and we'll go on to our next instruction. Now we'll take a look at step 3 here. And with step 3, it says that when you add a record to a form in your database, you're actually adding the record to that actual table. The form is going to have a direct interaction with the table that it's tied to. What we're going to do is we're going to open the employee form and create a new employee record given the information here in this table. Let's go ahead and do that now, and this is going to be a new record. So we're going to work with a blank record. And just like when you're working in Datasheet View, it will be entered at the end of the table or the end of the records. So we're going to go back to our database and we're going to open up our employee form here. We only have one form object, so it's not that hard to find. We're going to go to our navigation buttons down here and we're going to click on the new blank record. Now you're going to put in the information just like it was in the table. So the first name is Samantha. I'll hit tab to go to the next field. Last name is B. Put in the address 4541 North Cloverleaf Lane. City is Carlsbad. State, New Mexico. And the phone number is 505-555-9987. Now we've created a new record using the form that will now be visible in our employee table object. So I'm going to hit tab. We see we have 16 records now, or 15. 16 would be our next one. So if we go to the last record, see that that is the record that we just created. If we close this one and we go into our employee table, there's Samantha B, the record we just created. And you can see that this table, which assigns employee IDs, has automatically assigned Samantha this employee ID because this is our unique identifier, our primary key row. So we'll go ahead and close this table now. And we'll go back to our instructions. Scrolling down, we already closed the form. Now step 4, when you edit a record in a form, you're actually editing the record in the table, just like we talked about when we add a record. So we're going to open our employee form once more. We're going to locate the record for Mary Murphy and edit her phone number to this number here. So we're going to be changing the last 4 digits to 1289. Then we're just going to close the form. So let's go back over there and look for Mary Murphy in the employee form. And we can search for Mary right here in our navigation area here. There's Mary Murphy. We're going to change her phone number, the last 4 digits, to 1289. I'll hit the tab button, and same thing, we could go in and check Mary Murphy here in the employee table. And there's Mary Murphy, and her phone number has been changed to 505-555-1289. That's it for that one. Let's go on to our next instruction. So we'll scroll down here. And the Spot Manager now would like us to remove an employee, Peter Klein, from the employee table. Peter currently has appointments to schedule in the schedule table because those tables are linked together. His appointments must be given to someone else before the record can be deleted. Because there's a relationship there, we have to take care of where those records are related at before we get rid of that. That way there are no records tied in the employee table to Peter Klein. We're going to open up our schedule table and change each instance of Peter in the employee field to Alex. Then we're going to close the table. Once we've closed our schedule table, we will open up the employee form, locate the record for Peter Klein, and delete that record so that we can remove Peter Klein from the employee table as well. So then once you've done that, close the form. So let's jump back over to our database. And we'll do exactly what those instructions told us. So let's close our employee table here. We can always open it back up. We're going to open up our schedule table though and look for all those instances where Peter is in the employee field here. And then we're just going to change those to Alex. So you can see right here, I can just drop this down and I can select Alex. If there were multiple Alexes, we'd have to worry about that, but we only have Alex Weaver. So we'll change that one. We can do a Control F to find wherever Peter's at and change it if we'd like. There's another one. We can change that to Alex. Go to the next one. So you have all the instances of Peter removed. Now that we've done that, we can close this table. Then we're going to go to our employee form here. Now we're going to look for our record for Peter Klein. We have that there. Now we're going to get rid of this record. Now that we've found the record and we're in the record, we should be able to delete this record. You can see we're on record 8 of 15. If we come up to our records group here on the Home tab, select the delete button, drop down and select delete record. Are we sure we want to do this? Of course we are. So we hit yes. Now we're down to 14 records. We can close this If we go back to our employee table, we'll see that there's no instance of Peter Klein that exists, which is exactly what we were hoping to do. All right, let's go back to those directions once more. See what we have next. We're going to scroll down a little bit here so we can see all of step 6. With step 6, the manager of the spa wants the staff to be able to enter and update customer information very easily. She thinks it would be much easier to enter data in a form rather than in a data sheet view of a table. And that's what we do when we enforce security. And we're not going to do that here. But when we enforce security, we only let those people have access to forms that don't need to be in the tables. We don't want them to have access to that. So we let them have access to forms. And because a lot of times our forms will be designated to input information only that's necessary. So let's go ahead and we're going to use the form wizard to create a form using all the fields from the customer table in a columnar layout, and then we're going to name that form customer input. Once we've created that form, we're going to go into design view and add a label to the top left corner of the form footer area about 2.5 inches wide. And in the label, we're going to type created by C. Smith. Once we've done that, we've completed our form, we're going to save, and then we're going to close that form. Let's go ahead and jump back over to our database. And we're going to do just that. We're going to go to the form wizard, so we're going to go to our create tab. Then we're going to go, since it's a form, we're going to go to the forms group, and there's our form wizard, so click that. Alright, so now with this, we're saying we want all the information from our customer table. So make sure the object you're looking at is tables, and we're going to select the customer table. We want everything, so we're going to select all using this button here. So we've selected everything now. Hit the next button. We want it to be columnar. We'll hit next. Now we're going to change the name to form customer input. Let's go ahead and type that in. Then remember, we're going to go into design view, so we're going to modify the form's design. Otherwise, if we leave it on this, it's just going to open up and we'll just see our form created. But we know we already need to make a change, so we're going to hit the finish button. Our form's created. It's going to open up in the design view so that we can make some changes. And remember, we're going to go and add a label to the top left corner of the form footer. So we can see here's our form footer, and we're going to create a control. The control we're going to create is a label. So as you hover over your controls, you'll find your label. Click that. Now you can go draw that here in the form footer area. Remember, it's going to be about 2.5 inches wide. So with your crosshairs in the top left corner, just draw one and look at your ruler up there. And it's going to be 2.5 inches wide. Let it go, and now you're going to type in here created by C. Smith. And then you can click outside of that area, and that has been created. Now you're going to save and close your form. So we're going to hit the save button, come over here and close the form. Let's go back to those directions. That was it for step 6. Now we're at step 7. Now there may be times when you want to create a form using 2 tables. Now before you can use 2 tables in a form, you must make sure that there's a one-to-many relationship. One record in one table can have many records. You don't want a many-to-many relationship. One-to-many is the ideal relationship when it comes to your relationships and relationship database management systems. So we're going to use the form wizard, and you can see here Access is going to automatically use the common field between the tables to create the form. It's intuitive like that. We're going to use that form wizard once more to create a form using all the fields from the customer table as well as all the fields from the schedule table. We're going to view those records by customer as a form with a subform in it, and we're going to have the subform viewed as a datasheet view and name the main form customer schedule, and that subform we're going to give it a name too as form customer subform. Then in design view, we're going to add a label to the top left corner of the form footer, about 2.5 inches again, as a label with created by C. Smith again. Once we've done that, we'll save and close our form. So let's go back over to Access. We're going to use our Form Wizard again. So Create tab, Form Wizard here in the Form group. And remember which tables we're going to select information from. So we're going to start with the customer table here. We want all of those. We're going to click the next button only after we add all of the records or fields from the schedule table. So make sure you drop this down and select another table. We're going to select the schedule table. We're combining these, so we want all of those fields in here as well. Now hit the next button, and here is how do you want to view your data. Remember from our directions we were to view the records by customer, and then we want to have a subform. So you can see that our information from the customer table is up here. You can see we have our subform box here that shows all the information from the schedule table. So we're going to hit the next button because we've got this selected. We want to keep that default as data sheet. So click the next button. And then our form, we want to call that form customer schedule. And then our subform, we're going to call that form customer subform. So make sure you get that information put in there. Once we have done that, we want to go into the design view. So we're going to modify the form's design, then click finish. And now we're going to do that last step where here in design view we're going to add a label to the top left corner just like we did previously, only it's going to be in the top left corner of the form footer. I guess it is the exact same area. And it's going to be 2.5 inches again with the same label type, the words created by C. Smith. So go ahead and do the exact same thing we did before. Go to your controls here on the design tab, select label, come down here, 2.5 inches wide, created by C. Smith. I'll click outside of that. It's been created. Now I'm going to save my form and close it. And when you close this form, you will see that it should pop up, which it did when we added it to begin with. So make sure whenever you're creating any type of new object that it shows up over here in the object pane. If it didn't, then you ran into an issue, but every time you create an object, it should show up. So with that done, we are ready to move to step 8. Okay, now we'll look at step 8 here. We're talking about a split form. A split form is created from one table and displays each record individually at the top of the window, and then again as part of the whole table data sheet in the bottom of the window. This type of form is going to give you an advantage of seeing each record as well as the whole table all in one place. So we're going to create a split form using the customer table. In design view, we're going to add a label to the top left corner of the form. Once again, here in the footer section, about 2.5 inches wide with that same label created by C. Smith. Then we're going to save the form as the form customer split. Once we've saved it, we're going to go ahead and close it. And as I said, as soon as we save this form, we should see that show up in the object pane. Let's go back over to our database. And we're going to go ahead and create tab. We are creating a form, so that's going to be here in the forms group. We're going to click here on this drop down for more forms, and we're going to create a split form. Now you can see when you do this, it automatically creates for it based on whatever table you've selected over here at the left. And since the one we wanted is a customer table, we're going to get rid of this one. We're not going to save it. We're going to select our customer table. Then we're going to go up here to the Create tab. More forms, split form. Our split form gets automatically created. Once we've created it, we're going to put our label in. We're going to switch to design view. So I'm going to come up here to the views group, select design view, and in the form footer area, once again we're going to put our object, our label object, down here, and once again it's going to be 2.5 inches wide. So go up here in our Form Design Tools, click the Design tab. We're going to select this label here as our control, just like we've done in the past, 2.5 inches wide. And we're going to put in our created by C. Smith. Click outside of that. We're going to save this object as a customer split. Our form name, once again, is going to be Form Customer Split. Hit OK. And we see our customer split form. Once we've done that, let's close the form. Go back to our directions. And take a look here at step 9, where the manager of the spa would like to make the customer input form look more like the colors in the spa. The report has a set of themes that the manager wants to apply all objects in the database, and we downloaded that theme earlier, so make sure you have the spa theme. We're going to open our customer input form, and in our layout view this time we're going to apply that theme to the database. Once we've applied that theme, we're going to edit the form title to state as customer input, and this is a much more friendly way of having the what's going to be seen by the customer, so because we have our space in here, rather than the object names that we give and the field names that we give that are logical names. We want something to be much more appealing for the casual user. Once we've done that, we're going to save and close the form. Let's go back over and make sure we apply this theme. So we're going to open up our customer input form. So our customer input form, open that. With the form opened up now, we're going to go ahead and switch to layout view. Once you switch to layout view, here in our design tab you can see we have a themes group, and we're going to drop this object down here. We're going to select browse for themes and select the theme that we downloaded. When that opens up, where you have saved yours, the downloads folder or wherever you saved yours, here mine's in this folder, I'm in the spa theme. I'm going to select that, hit open. You can see right away you see a change. So whatever the theme was designed for, that's what's going to be applied here. So now that we have this done, we are going to edit the form title. And we want to say customer input with a space. Click outside of that, and now you've done that. So save and close your form. That's all there is to that one. Then we're scrolling down here to step 10. We're going to talk about the controls here. Now obviously you've already worked with some controls during this lesson. Controls can be resized to make the form more user-friendly, and that's what we want. We want our forms to be user-friendly. When you create a form using the wizard, the order in which you choose the fields in the wizard step is the order in which the fields are added to the form, obviously. Once the form has been created, you may decide the fields should be in a different order, and we can modify that order. We're going to go to our customer schedule form and make these changes here. Once we've made these changes, we're going to save the form. We're going to adjust the size of the last name text box control to match that of the first name text box. We're going to extend the width of the address text box control so that it matches that of the city text box. We're going to edit the form title to display customer schedule. We're going to delete the customer subform label. So let's open up the customer schedule form. And I can see that I forgot the F in form here. I'm going to go ahead and rename that now just because it's going to drive me nuts. Put my F there for form. Hit enter. And I'm going to go ahead and open that one up. So there is my customer schedule, and even though we're going to change this, I guess I could do it now. If I want to go into my layout view, I'll just make that change now to where it's customer schedule. There we go. So now that step's already done for our form title. So remember, we're going to, first of all, we're going to adjust the size of the last name text box. We're going to adjust this so that it matches that of the first name text box above. So I'm going to just drag this over so that it looks like it lines up with that one. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to extend the width of the address box so that it matches that of the city text box that's listed right below it. So click that and drag that over here. Now that's one way of doing it. There are other ways of doing this as well. If we go into our design view, we can use our properties to make sure we check the width of the box to know that we're getting the exact same size. So if we go to the design tab and we click on property sheet, we can then click on an object and get its information. So you can see here, we can find the width of this over here in our property sheet for the city object, because we want the address to match that, right? So if we look at this, we can see that the width is 3.375. If we click on the address one, we can see it's not quite there, but we can just type it in 3.375, or we can go back here, copy this width, click on our address text box here, go to the width, select that, paste that. Now we know they're exactly the same. Same way with our first name and last name. So the first name box, we know that is 1.7083. We click on our last name, and that one's actually exactly the same, so we don't have to make a change there. Now if we come on down, we'll see our next thing we wanted to do. We already changed our customer schedule title. We want to delete the customer subform label. So if we come over here, we click on this object here, see that's our customer subform label. We can see right there is the name of it. We want to get rid of it, so we're just going to hit the delete button. It's gone. So now that we've done that, the next thing it wanted us to do, it wanted us to auto fit to adjust the width of each column in the subform. You can see that here. We're going to auto fit the feature to adjust the width of each column in our subform. Then we're going to drag the left border of the subform to the left if necessary, so that all fields are visible without scrolling in our subform. So let's go back over there and look at that. So remember, we're only going to do this in our subform. So if I change my view to layout view, and we can see that we can't see everything in our subform. So it's going to go between the rows, or between the columns, double click those to auto fit. Now we can see each of the data in our subform here. So remember, the next thing that it wanted us to do after that was to drag the left border of the subform to the left so that all fields are visible without scrolling. Well, we can see that, so we don't really need to do that because we've auto fit everything. The next thing that it wanted us to do, if we look at our instructions, is to delete the customer ID label and text box controls. So we're going to get rid of the ID label and text box controls. Let's go ahead and go back to our database, and we can just select both of these. Just hit the delete button and get rid of them. Alright, so those are gone. The next direction tells us, now that we've got the customer ID label and text box gone, we're going to select our phone label, phone text box, email label, and email text box, and move them up and to the right until they are right next to the first name and last name controls. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I'm going to select the phone. Got that label. Get the text box and the email text box. Once we've got those four selected, we're going to move them up to the right until they're right next to the first name and last name. Alright, so they are to the right, just as I hoped. And you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to do some fine-tuning to get those in the position that you like. Let's go back to those directions now. Our next step here that we've completed this is we're going to drag the subform data sheet up and to the left so that it's just under the state label. So let's go do that now. So we're going to grab our subform, move that up here just under state. Alright, so you get that positioned. Go back over here, look at our directions. So remember, it's just under the state label. And then we're going to change the font of the form title to be bold with a font size of 28. So bold with a font size of 28. So select it. Up here on the Format tab, Font Group Bold, and we're going to increase our font size to 28. So that is done. Go back to our directions. Once we've done that, save the form. And I'm going to go ahead and close the form as well. Let's go back to those directions, see what it would like for us to do next. Here in step 11, we're going to look at pictures. And pictures can be added to forms to make them just, once again, much more appealing to the user. When a picture is added to the form, the same picture will appear for every record in the table, because that's part of the form. It's part of the actual elements that make up that form. Now, a picture can be inserted in the header, the footer, or even the detail area of the form where the record values are going to be shown in your form. So download the SPA logo JPEG file and save the file to the location, obviously, where you store all of your files for your project. And then we're going to open up the customer schedule form. We're going to be in layout view, and we're going to insert that image for our SPA into the detail section. Once we've inserted there, we're going to move that picture under the email text box and resize the picture so that it fits in between the email text box and our subform. Once we've done that, save and close the form, and we've completed our project. So I'm going to open up my customer schedule here, and now I'm going to insert the image. Here I'm going to switch to layout view, and I'm just going to insert that image and put it in down here. So I'm going to go up to my design tab here. I'm going to go over and insert an image after I click in my detail area here. Now I can insert an image here in the controls group. I'm going to browse for that image and select my SPA logo. That opens up. There's my SPA logo. I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to position it under my email text box. And obviously I'm going to have to resize that. I'm going to close my property box here. Click on that and resize that. Remember, we were to resize the picture so that it fits in between the email text box and our subform. So everything fits. That's it for that. Now I can save and close my form, and I am done with my project here in my SPA database. That was a lot in working with forms. Make sure to continue your studies using Chapter 4 and work with the forms and reports here in Access. And you'll be walking away with a lot of good skills that you'll be able to apply for, especially if you're using these databases in like a small business area. Hope Hope you found this information helpful, and good luck as you continue through your projects. And overall introduction to Microsoft Access 2019. Take care.